So Alex Pereira's children will be returning to the octagon this weekend in the main event of Azerbaijan. And I haven't really given my opinion on this fight, but yes, by Alex Pereira's children, I mean Khalil Rountree and Jamahal Hill, who Alex Pereira absolutely dog-walked in their fights. And I'm just going to call it what it is. I think Khalil Rountree and Jamahal Hill are two of the most overrated light heavyweights in modern-day UFC, and they only skate by as top 5 fighters or close to the top 5 because the divisions are so shallow at this point at heavyweight and light heavyweight that there's no one else. But I can see these guys getting booted out of the top 5 in like the next year. But let's get into it, man. Jamahal Hill and Khalil Rountree, the battle of the overrated. I'm going to go through Jamahal Hill's resume. I'm going to go through Khalil Rountree's resume and talk about why I think they are both extremely overrated. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give a prediction for who I think wins the fight, because although I think they're overrated, I do think one overrated guy sticks out over the other. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off with Jamahal Hill. I think he's overrated. Let me explain why. Let me defend that point. First of all, he has zero footwork. Go back and watch his fight against Yuri Prohaska. It literally looked like he had super glue on the bottom of his feet, and he was having trouble getting him off the octagon. This guy's feet are glued to the octagon. He has no footwork. He's not bouncy. He's not rangy. He's not like fluid on the feet. He just looks like he's never done a footwork training in his entire life. Like, he literally just looks like he's going out there to swing big overhands and catch Khalil Rountree with the hook, or whoever he's fighting with a hook. And if that doesn't work, he just gets his ass beat on the feet. Either way, yes, go back. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the Yuri Prohaska fight. Jamahal Hill, his footwork was non-existent in that fight. Let's talk about another thing. His best win is over 43-year-old Glover Teixeira. Why are we glorifying Jamahal Hill's best win against a 43-year-old Glover Teixeira, who, let's be real, Glover at that point, right, was coming off that war with Yuri Prohaska, right? He had just taken so much damage against Yuri, gotten submitted, and then a few months later, they're like, hold up, Glover, we're going to do you versus Jamahal Hill for the vacant title. Since Ankh and Jan Blachowicz ended in a draw, we'll do Jamahal Hill versus Glover in a title fight. And Jamahal Hill got glazed over that win. Wow, how good is Jamahal Hill? He dominates Glover for 5 rounds, but no one seems to mention that was a 43-year-old Glover, right? Coming off a war. Let's be real. When you come off a war at 43 years old, your recovery is not going to be exactly the same. So obviously, I don't think Glover was at his best. Not to mention he's 43 years old. I know old man Glover had some craft to him, but come on, no one's the same fighter at 43 unless you're Yoel Romero. So, and not to mention, let's talk about his knockout power, because I think he has extremely overrated knockout power. Who's this guy knocked out? Thiago Santos, the old man, who he got a TKO over? Johnny Walker, who Augusta Win could knock out at this point? He fought Glover for 5 rounds and struggled to get a knockdown. I don't think he got a knockdown in that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he couldn't even knock down 43-year-old Glover. Sure, he dominated the fight. But for people to say that Jamahal Hill has some of the best knockout power in the division, I disagree, man. He doesn't. Like, who's this guy knocking out? Ovin St. Preux? Johnny Walker? He couldn't knock out Glover? It's like, when's the last time Jamahal Hill has knocked out anyone? Was Thiago Santos like 3 years ago? This guy has no wins since the beginning of 2023. And listen, I do understand that part of that is because he was injured for a year, but that still means he hasn't had a win in a year and a half. And he got absolutely sunned by Alex Pereira, right? After talking all that smack, he got sunned. He was on stage saying he was going to KO Pereira in the kickboxing, that he doesn't need to be a kickboxing champion to stand with Alex Pereira. He gets slept in the first round. He goes on a whole coping session about it. Comes back, talks about how Yuri got finished. I got caught. You got dominated, was his words about Yuri. Goes in the fight with Yuri, has no footwork, gets absolutely destroyed on the feet by Yuri. And here we are, and Jamahal Hill's facing Khalil Rountree. So I think Jamahal Hill's kind of always been an overrated light heavyweight, but it just took actually good strikers like Yuri and good strikers like Pereira to actually expose him. Not Ovin St. Preux, not Johnny Walker, who can't take a shot. Not Thiago Santos, who was 1 foot out the door and like 38 years old with no knees at that point. So like, who is Jamahal Hill actually beat that's elite? 43-year-old Glover? That was the ghost of Glover. Listen, I know he had just won the title at 42, but dude, you can lose your prime overnight. And let's be real, even though Glover won the belt at 42, I don't think that was prime Glover. I think prime Glover was like 38, 39, maybe. I don't know, man. Jamahal Hill, his resume is overrated. Who's his best win? 43-year-old Glover. Outside of that, it's like, who's he beat? Really nobody. And he's winless in nearly 3 years. So, yeah, I think he's a bit overrated. So that's me roasting Jamahal Hill a bit. Let's get on to Khalil Rountree, who is Pereira's other child. Let's talk about him. Khalil Rountree is definitely overrated as well. This is literally the battle of the overrated, the battle of Alex Pereira's sons. Speaking of Alex Pereira, that's Khalil Rountree's biggest claim to fame. He gets praised for beating up or getting beat up by Alex Pereira, right? People talk about, dude, how good is Khalil? He actually lasted to the 4th round. Like, this fight that built up between Jamahal Hill and Khalil Rountree, it's literally been talking about, like, who did better against Pereira, because they both got sunned by Pereira. And now they're up against each other. But yeah, he gets way too much praise for getting his ass beat against Alex Pereira. I mean, this guy on the feet against Alex Pereira, he did decent in the first 2 rounds. He got a flash knockdown against Alex with an elbow, I believe, or a backhand in round 2. But then in round 3 and 4, this guy got the absolute dog crap beat out of him to the point where his face was unrecognizable. He was a bloody mess. Alex Pereira rearranged this guy's nose. Go and look at him right now if you don't believe me. Khalil Rountree's nose is unrecognizable. He's going to have a scar there for the rest of his life because he got beat up so bad against Alex Pereira that he doesn't even look like the same guy anymore. So that's first. He gets praised for losing to Alex Pereira, right? His best win is the ghost of Anthony Smith on short notice. He took a fight, or didn't take a fight. I forgot who he was slated to fight. He had a fight lined up. It might have been with Jamahal Hill, actually. Jamahal Hill pulls out, or whoever it was pulls out. Anthony Smith steps up on a few weeks' notice, or it might even been a few days, I'm not sure. But he beats up Anthony Smith, almost lays down the hammer fist of doom on him, if you guys remember that. And so at that point, he's on a 5-fight win streak. This is before he faces Pereira. But it's like, dude, if your best win is Anthony Smith, it ain't looking too good for you. This guy has a UFC record of 9-6. He has no grappling whatsoever, no wrestling whatsoever. He's even went as far as to say he refuses to engage in the grappling. He's a striker, and that's it. And I respect that. Own your style. This guy has some of the best Muay Thai in the division, but it's like, bro, be a mixed martial artist. You ain't Alex Pereira, little bro. You ain't going to take over the division striking. It just ain't going to happen. Can you imagine this guy or Jamahal Hill going up against Uncle Life? Dude, they would get absolutely torched and pieced up. But let's talk about Khalil Rountree, some of his losses. This guy has losses to Johnny Walker and Ion Cutelaba. Ion Cutelaba is a 50-50 fighter. Johnny Walker has no chin. And this guy got finished by both of them. It's not a good look, man. Listen, I understand it was 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago since that happened. But let's not pretend like Khalil Rountree's 5-fight win streak is one of the most unimpressive 5-fight win streaks in the history of the UFC. Let's look at it. He beat Modestas Bukauskas by leg kick. That was with that brutal leg kick. Who's Modestas Bukauskas beat? Nobody. Not a good win. He beat Carl Roberson, TKO. Carl Roberson sucks. Not a good win. He beat Dustin Jacoby, who's on a bit of a resurgence, but let's not forget, he robbed Dustin Jacoby. He absolutely lost that fight. He should have lost 29-28. He got gifted a decision, right? Then he beats Chris Daukaus, who is now not even in the UFC and went on like a 5-fight losing streak by finish and is now a police officer on the side. It's not even a fighter anymore, right? And then he beat the ghost of Anthony Smith. If that is not the most unimpressive 5-fight win streak in the history of the light heavyweight division, then I don't know what is. As I said, I really do believe that Jamahal Hill versus Khalil Rountree is the battle of the overrated. They've really beat no one between their careers, and I think both their skill sets are overrated. Now let's get into who I think is going to win. Right, I give them my opinion on their resumes and why they're overrated. Now, I'm going to give you guys my final prediction. I think this weekend, in the main event of UFC Azerbaijan, Jamahal Hill versus Khalil Rountree, I think we're going to see Jamahal Hill go out there and get pieced up by Khalil Rountree. And Khalil Rountree is going to get either a 3rd or 4th round TKO. We're going to see Jamahal Hill once again with his lackluster footwork, moving around the octagon like a duck that has super glue on the bottom of his foot, trying to get it off the ground. Just can't quite move how he needs to move. And Khalil Rountree is going to be busting him up. Jamahal Hill has decent boxing. That's about it. Khalil Rountree is going to school him with the Muay Thai. He has great defense, Khalil Rountree. If he's not fighting Alex Pereira, Khalil Rountree is actually pretty hard to hit clean in recent times. He's a really good striker, but his grappling's non-existent. But let's be real, he won't need grappling in this fight or need to worry about grappling because Jamahal Hill is not a wrestler. Not to mention, let's talk a little bit more about Jamahal Hill. This guy is an MMA fighter, right? Trains full-time as a top 5 light heavyweight, and this guy has the physique of Chris Barnett. Does he not train? Why is he built like a bag of milk? I don't understand. Like, these guys are professional fighters. Why is Jamahal Hill built like a bag of milk? Khalil Rountree actually has some muscle on him. So, listen, I know this video sounds like a hate piece against Jamahal Hill and Khalil Rountree, and it kind of is in a way, because I'm still annoyed with how much shit Jamahal Hill talked against Alex Pereira and how much he coped. Then he got sunned by Yuri Prochazka. I am glad he had to drink a bit or eat a bit of the humble pie, but it's like, dude, both these guys are extremely overrated, and it's just kind of embarrassing that this is the light heavyweight division in 2025. Like, this is the top 5 guys that we have to watch fight each other and potentially get another title shot. I think they both lose to Yuri. I think they both lose to Alex Pereira again. I think they both lose to Magomed Ankalaev. There's a 0% chance that either of these guys win the belt, but I'm getting off track. Let's talk about who I think is going to win. I think Khalil Rountree is going to TKO Jamahal Hill in the latter half of the fight. 3rd, 4th round TKO for Khalil Rountree. I think the lack of footwork and just the overzealousness of Jamahal Hill, is that even a word? The getting too excited to get a finish from Jamahal Hill. I feel like if Jamahal Hill doesn't get a finish, then he kind of struggles in fights if you're not Glover Teixeira, who's 43, right? If Jamahal Hill can't get a finish, it's shown in the Yuri fight. He's going to get pieced up and he's going to get dominated, as he said. He's not really a decision fighter. He has to finish you. And I think Khalil Rountree can beat a guy by decision. I think he can piece up with Jamahal Hill by decision. So I think Khalil Rountree is going to stay defensively sound this week. He's going to beat up Jamahal Hill to a late round TKO. That's my official prediction for this fight. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. I appreciate you guys watching. As always, I'm out, guys. Peace.